The moment the little girl disappeared, the entire town froze. The police station was buzzing with panic the moment the call came in. An 8-year-old girl had vanished without a trace, and no witnesses. No sounds. No footprints. One moment, she was collecting pine cones near the forest trail. The next, she was simply gone. Officer Daniel felt his stomach twist as he arrived at the scene. By the time Officer Daniel arrived, the girl's mother was on the ground sobbing, begging them to find her baby. Her father stood frozen in shock, staring into the dark trees as if they had swallowed his daughter whole. There were no footprints, no dropped items, no signs of struggle. Just silence. A silence so unnerving it felt like the woods were hiding something. The forest was quiet that afternoon, almost too quiet. Officer Daniel had been searching for the missing 8-year-old girl for hours, his uniform soaked with sweat, his nerves stretched thin. Search teams were scattered everywhere. Drones circled the woods, and every passing minute felt heavier than the last. Then, out of nowhere, his canine partner, Rex, bolted from the trail like he'd been struck by lightning. "Rex, heel!" Daniel shouted, but the dog didn't stop. He ran faster than Daniel had ever seen him move. By the time Daniel caught up, his heart nearly stopped. Rex wasn't barking. He was standing on his hind legs, tapping urgently on the window of an old, abandoned camper hidden deep in the woods. Tap, tap, tap. His eyes were wide, terrified, desperate. Daniel's breath hitched, because when he looked inside that window, he understood instantly why Rex had dragged him here. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The sun had barely risen when the first call came through. An 8-year-old girl had vanished along the forest trail behind her home. Officer Daniel arrived to find her parents standing near the entrance of the woods, their faces drained of color. The mother clutched a small pink backpack to her chest, rocking back and forth as if holding onto the last piece of her daughter. The father stood beside her, frozen, staring into the trees like he expected his little girl to step out at any moment. But the silence was suffocating. Rex, Daniel's canine partner, paced anxiously beside him, tail stiff. Something about the air had the dog unsettled. Daniel knelt down and gave his partner a reassuring pat, but Rex didn't calm. His muscles remained tight, eyes locked onto the forest. Search teams spread out, drones were launched, and volunteers gathered. The deeper they went, the louder the dread grew in Daniel's chest. The girl's small footprints appeared in the mud, then abruptly vanished. No signs of a struggle, no direction of travel, just emptiness. Rex let out a low, uneasy whine, and Daniel felt his stomach twist. Whatever had happened here, it wasn't normal. The search pushed deeper into the forest, but every passing minute felt heavier on Daniel's shoulders. Volunteers called the girl's name through the trees, their voices echoing faintly in the distance. Rex moved ahead of the group, nose to the ground, weaving between broken branches and damp leaves. His ears flicked sharply, his body coiled with tension. Daniel recognized that stance. Rex wasn't just tracking, he was sensing something urgent. The dog kept glancing back, as if begging Daniel to move faster. Suddenly, Rex froze. His head snapped to the left, ears rising, eyes wide with alarm. Before Daniel could speak, Rex launched forward, tearing off the main trail with explosive speed. "Rex, heel!" Daniel shouted, heart lurching, but the dog didn't pause for even a second. Branches whipped against Daniel's arms as he sprinted after him, struggling to keep the dog in sight. The other officers called out behind them, but Rex was already vanishing into the shadows of the deeper woods. The terrain quickly shifted. Rex darted between boulders and fallen logs, laser-focused on something only he could sense. Daniel's breath hitched, wherever Rex was leading them. It was far beyond the designated search zone, and deep into a place no one ever walked willingly. Daniel burst through the last line of thick brush, lungs burning, only to find Rex standing perfectly still on a narrow, hidden clearing. The forest around them grew unnervingly quiet, as if the trees themselves were holding their breath. In front of Rex sat an old, weather-beaten camper, half buried beneath vines and fallen leaves. Daniel blinked. He had never seen it on any map, nor had any search team mentioned it. Rex lowered his body, sniffing the air with sharp, urgent breaths, and a shiver ran down Daniel's spine. Something about the place felt wrong. Very wrong. Before Daniel could approach, Rex rose onto his hind legs and pressed his paws against the camper's fogged-up window. Then he began tapping, fast, desperate, rhythmic taps that echoed through the clearing like a warning. Tap, tap, tap. Daniel froze. Rex wasn't barking. He wasn't aggressive. He looked terrified. His tail tucked low, his ears pinned back, his eyes locked on something inside the camper. Daniel stepped forward slowly, hand resting on his holstered flashlight, heart thundering. The officers who had followed behind arrived seconds later, their expressions shifting from confusion to unease. The window shook with each one of Rex's frantic taps. Then, out of nowhere, a dull thump sounded from inside the camper, followed by a faint, muffled cry. Every officer stiffened. Someone was in there. And whatever Rex had sensed was about to turn all of them pale. Daniel exchanged a tense glance with the other officers before gripping the camper's rusted handle. The air around them felt heavier, as if the forest itself were warning them to turn back. With a sharp yank, Daniel forced the door open, the hinges screeching like something alive. A wave of cold, stale air rushed out. Flashlights cut through the darkness, revealing a cramped interior cluttered with overturned drawers, scattered blankets, and a narrow path leading to the back. Rex slipped inside first, nose twitching with frantic urgency. Daniel's breath caught as he followed, sweeping his beam across torn fabric, muddy footprints, and a single pink sneaker lying on its side. The silence inside was suffocating. Then Daniel saw movement. Curled up beneath a makeshift cot was the missing little girl, trembling violently, her tiny hands clutching her knees. Her eyes were wide, glassy with terror. "It's okay. It's okay, sweetheart," Daniel whispered, kneeling carefully. But the girl didn't relax. Instead, she lifted a shaky finger and pointed toward a shadowed corner behind her. Daniel shifted his flashlight and froze. Strange tools lay scattered. Ropes, empty food containers, scribbled notes, and a dirty cloth that made his stomach twist. This wasn't a place she stumbled into. Someone had kept her here. The girl's voice cracked as she whispered. He said he'd come back. Daniel felt his blood run cold. Someone had put her here deliberately. And they weren't done. The little girl clung to Daniel's sleeve as officers carefully lifted her from beneath the cot. Her breathing was shallow, and every sound made her jolt. Rex stayed close, nudging her gently, as if assuring her she was finally safe. Once outside the camper, Daniel knelt beside her. "Sweetheart, can you tell me what happened?" She hesitated, eyes darting nervously toward the trees. "He took me," she whispered. "I was walking home, and he grabbed me." Her body trembled. "He said not to scream. He said he already knew where to hide me." The way she said it, quiet, certain, made Daniel's skin crawl. This wasn't random. The kidnapper knew the forest too well. Rex suddenly stiffened, nose lifting toward the camper. Daniel followed his gaze and spotted a jacket draped over a chair inside, one with a familiar patch stitched on the sleeve. His heart stuttered. It wasn't a stranger's clothing. It belonged to someone local, someone trusted. Officers quickly inspected the pockets, pulling out a set of keys and a folded map marked with X's across remote parts of the forest. Daniel's breath hitched. This wasn't his first hiding spot. This was a pattern. "We need to move," Daniel ordered, voice tight. He could be nearby. Rex growled softly, hackles rising. The kidnapper wasn't just familiar. He was close. Much closer than any of them realized. Officers formed a protective circle around the little girl as they guided her toward the waiting patrol vehicles. The forest felt different now, alive, tense, watching. Daniel kept one hand on Rex's harness, the other hovering near his radio. "Units, be advised," he spoke calmly. "The suspect may still be in the area." The girl squeezed his fingers. He said he'd come before sunset. The words hit Daniel like a punch. Sunset was minutes away. Rex let out a low growl, ears swiveling toward the deeper trees, where the shadows thickened unnaturally. Daniel felt his pulse spike. The kidnapper wasn't running. He was circling. Suddenly, Rex lunged forward, dragging Daniel several steps. The dog barked furiously at a cluster of pine trees. Officers raised their flashlights, and there he was, a man partially hidden behind a trunk. Before he could move, officers swarmed him, pinning him to the ground. His pockets rattled with matching keys. His jacket patch confirmed everything. He wasn't a stranger. He was a former forest maintenance worker fired for trespassing near homes. Hours later, at the station, the girl sat wrapped in a blanket, safe in her parents' arms. A doctor stepped in quietly. If she hadn't been found when she wouldn't have lasted another hour. Daniel looked down at Rex, whose tired eyes still scanned every corner. "Good boy," he whispered. Rex didn't just find her. He saved her life and stopped a man who planned to strike again.